Protest is a body saying that this new state that I've come into now cannot be sustained. It cannot be sustained. And because of that, I need to go back to the former state. I need to go back to the state that I was in before. So if you look at the basic human wants, which is food, clothing, and shelter in order of importance, you will discover that every man needs food. And Nigeria is in that place where everybody is finding it difficult to feed. Whether it is you, whether it's your sibling, whether it's your children, your parents, everybody is finding it difficult to feed. Everybody is finding it difficult to feed, apart from a very selected few. Everybody, majority of Nigerians, 99.99% of Nigerians are finding it difficult to feed. And because of that, there is that protest. So you cannot tell people not to protest, because when you are telling people not to protest, then you are telling them that they should stay in that state that will eventually end their life. Because if, for instance, we look at that first scale of preference, which is food. If, for instance, people cannot feed, then how do you expect them to live? How do you expect them to be alive? So it is important that you know that people cannot stay in that particular state of not having the ability to feed. They can't feed themselves. Father cannot feed himself, so how can he even think to go and work for his children? The mother cannot feed herself. How can she think? How can she be composed to work? So you can't tell people not to protest. You cannot tell people not to protest. You might say, don't come to a certain square, don't come to a certain location. You can say all manners of things, but whether you know it or not, people are already protesting, including you that is telling people not to protest. So if I cannot feed now, my body will begin to protest. My body will begin to fail me. My system will begin to fail me. My digestive system will begin to digest my body. That is what is happening to people now. That is why a lot of people are falling sick. A lot of people are falling on the wayside. That is why a lot of people are going to extra mile to do things that they would not have done if they were in their right frame of mind. And for the security people, you discover that the security situation, it becomes heightened, because now people want to snatch people's cars, people want to steal their food, people want to do all manners of crime just to feed themselves. There was a case in Israel, and it was so bad that people began to eat their babies. We remember the story of Solomon. You know, one of those judgments of Solomon. It was about splitting, a baby, dividing a baby between two women, because they were already eating their babies. It was so bad. So in this particular case, this first scenario that I painted, there was these women that were arguing, and they were like, we ate my baby yesterday, and now it's time to eat your baby, and you're hiding your baby. So it was that bad that the king, began to mourn and begin to wail and say, what has brought this upon us? Many people will say, it is the judgment of God, and it is all these things. No, a lot of people don't understand what judgment is. Let me explain judgment to you. You see, when you go to the law court, a judge will understand this. When you go to the law court, the judge judges based on the information that is presented before him. He does not just judge the case like that. So when you think judgment from God, a lot of people think it's like God is punishing people. God is not punishing Nigerians. God is saying that because you have done so and so, this is the result. You cannot cheat nature. What you sow is what you reap. If you decide to put your petroleum products, you decide to mortgage them in the next 20-30 years, then you will not have you will not have crude oil to give to somebody like Dangote. So Dangote now is protesting also, because he cannot operate in that state. David, for instance, had this particular situation also. He was like a king of, a certain group, and he went out and he came back with that group, and they discovered that bandit has come and raided all their families, taking their wives and their children away. So for those of us that are in DSS, that are the NIA and all the security agencies, the military and all these people, those were the kind of people that were around David, the mighty men of David. And because of that thing that happened to them, they wanted to stone David. So we don't want a situation whereby Nigeria will get to that place where it is now the case of Julius Caesar, where the people that are closest to the president will now be the ones that betrays him. So there's already protest. There's already that, what will I call it? Gaseous, inflammable situation in Nigeria that anything can spark at any time. So what do? As they say, a hungry man is an angry man. What do is to quell the hunger of these people. Even as a man of God, there are times people come to me for counseling, and I see that they are famished. The first thing I do is to try to provide some certain kind of succor for them. Give them something to drink, maybe water, malt, or something. And when they calm down, you will discover that their problem will not be as grievous as when they first came. Their explanation and the way they go about, solving that problem will not be as grievous. So, like many people have said, why can't we have a temporal a situation that maybe a 6 month kind of situation that can quell the hunger? Maybe you allow food to come in and things like that, and you do it in the proper way. You can do it through the religious organizations, you can do it through the traditional organizations, and all those places that you are coming to tell people not to protest. So if you say that you don't want people to protest, you cannot stop them from protesting because they're already hungry. Your citizens are hungry. Mr. President, your citizens are hungry. That is just it. Including myself, we are hungry. Because if I'm not hungry, I will not be doing this video. And when I mean I'm hungry, even if I have more than enough for myself, I will have to share it. And as a result of that, it will no longer be enough for me and my family. That is what a lot of people are facing. Too little people are having jobs. Too little people were, salaries were increased. How many people are in the civil service? How many people are in the federal government service? How many people? Go and ask them. Those people cannot even take care of themselves because they have to spread their money thin. So when we talk about protest, a lot of people think it's one political upheaval, or it's one political movement, or it's troublemakers trying to make trouble. No, that is not protest. How come 6 months ago people were not talking about protest? How come a year ago people were not talking about protest? It just became worse. It became worse, and it's getting more terrible. So Mr. President, if you don't want people to protest, feed their hunger. It is only if you can make people to have food to eat, even if it's 2 square meal, you will be shocked at how Nigerians will go back to their farms, go back to their business places, go back to all these places of where they can make ends meet, and they will focus. But if you start saying that people should not protest because you think protest is about people coming out on a square or people going somewhere or gathering in a particular place, no, that is not protest. People have already started protesting. Can you come and arrest people in their houses? Are you going to come and arrest people that are hungry in their houses because they are saying that the president is not taking care of them? The president is falling short of his responsibility, because that is your job. Your job is to provide security, and the first security is food security. It's not even the insecurity that comes as a result of crime. Food security is the first security. So the first thing that every man wants when a baby is born, the first thing that the baby wants is food. It's food. That's to tell you that what people want is food. If you can take care of that, there's still time. The protest, they said they are going to protest on the 1st of August. There's still time. If you can take care of that, if there's something you can do now, between now and the 1st of August, that will make people to have food to eat, I can tell you that naturally, this protest, this cry of protest will go down. Nobody wants to go out and start stressing themselves. Nobody wants to go and start demonstrating under the sun and sitting, in one particular spot. Nigerians are not that jobless. Many Nigerians are entrepreneurs. Make things, okay for Nigerians, and Nigerians will share the protest. They will share the protest. So for those people that are going around about, saying people should not protest and stuff like that, please, can you come up with something very sensible for them not to protest? Can you try, maybe try and convince them? How do you convince a hungry man that he should not look for food? How? So until you can do that, I'm sorry, we are already protesting.